Modernism is a term used by referring to a body of disparate texts that emerged from the early 19th century and continued well into the 20th century. However disparate, in retrospect, a pattern of innovation, preoccupation, and experimentation can be detected in these texts when reading it from the vantage point of the present. An established canon of pivotal texts like T.S. Eliot, James Joyce, and Ezra Pound is used as a reference point for conversations about modernism. However, modernist studies are disparate, and authors like Pericles Lewis, in his 2007 work, The Cambridge Introduction to Modernism, have attempted to reintegrate these diverse strands of research by acknowledging the importance of pivotal texts as well as those that are not mainstream. In my introductory remarks, I will concentrate on two studies on modernism: Heather Love's 2007 book Feeling Backward and Tim Armstrong's 1998 book Modernism, Technology and the Body. These two studies have different goals and consequently use different methodologies. Nevertheless, they have a common point of departure, that is, they both contain certain themes that engage with the past as well as the present. For love, the theme is shame, secrecy, and self-hatred. And for Armstrong, it is the fragmentation and augmentation of the body in relation to technology. Love is concerned that the way pride is written into and referred to in scholarly as well as political discussions about homosexuality neglects or omits the feeling of shame and loss in the queer experience of the past as well as the present. Love argues that pride leads to emotional rescue from dealing with the violence of the past. It creates a comfortable connection between the queer present and the past, as opposed to acknowledging the discomfort of pain and secrecy of the queer past. Love's contribution to literature and history on sexuality is this backward feeling that she incorporates into the conversation. She does this by reading failure, loss, and trauma in modernist texts of Walter Pater, Villa Carter, Sylvia Warner, and others. Modernism in Love's text is constructed as a response to marginalization. For example, Love reads Walter Pater's The Renaissance as a specifically queer response to the experience of social exclusion. Love is therefore reading sexuality in text. She argues that Pater's aesthetic of failure reveals his experience of shame and secrecy. While Love reads shame and pain into modernist texts, Armstrong focuses on the technological fascination in modernist texts. Modernity, he argues, offers the body as lack, at the same time as it offers technological compensation. Increasingly, that compensation is offered as a part of capitalism's fantasy of a complete body. Armstrong points to the paradox of the prosthetic imagination, the promise of amelioration on the one hand and the violence of its bodily interventions. Technology, he argues, provides utopian possibilities and fragmentation of the self, which constitutes making biological intervention into commodities. In Henry James' The Ivory Tower, for example, tropes of mastication and rumination are present in the prefaces. Armstrong argues that these tropes were connected to James's following the advice of Horace Fletcher, whose dietary program was designed around maximum efficiency and minimum waste. Here, Armstrong suggests that the adoption of a technique as a consumer product is evident in James's novel. Unlike male authors, Armstrong argues, women writers like Mina Loy had a different approach to the body conditioned by the awareness of its visibility. Loy, in autofacial construction, seemed to have an osmotic sense of permeability of bodily boundaries, and using these technological modes of expression anticipates Judith Butler's performativity of gender thesis. Love and Armstrong therefore demonstrate two ways of reading modernist texts. In Love's model, a rereading of texts is required to incorporate the pain, loss, and shame. For Armstrong, the expression of technological augmentation of the body or the expression of prosthetic imagination is a means of understanding the modernist text. Now let's look at some canonical texts and go on to incorporate increasingly diverse modern texts. We'll begin with James Joyce's A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man.